All right, welcome back. Sorry, I love Vidocs. I gotta stop looking at chat. Let's get the show on the road. So pre-orders for the new Renegade Standard Edition start right now. And we actually have some added bonuses. Even if you pre-ordered the, what do we got? Year of Prophecy Edition, we have 2 additional cosmetics that are going live today with the patch. The Starside Introduction Emblem and a new exotic ship, which we call the Renegade Leader. You're gonna see it on the screen right now, and I'm going to ask a silly question. What are we looking at?
I mean, I think we're kind of looking at something that looks like an X-Wing here a little bit, maybe a little red leader action. So, I mean, this is one of our homages, right? That's the team had a lot of fun with. So we wanted to build like an iconic ship, Dylan, that kicked off the road to Renegades here over the next few months. And what's cool about this is you're actually going to see your ship, whatever ship you have equipped, that's going to be flying by when you deploy your Renegade abilities in the Lawless Frontier. And also, you're going to be using your ship to go between different areas within the Plaguelands here in the Reclaim activity that's launching today as well.
Awesome. So with pre-orders talked about, let's dive into the Vidoc. Robbie, where are we starting?
Yeah, so I think it's like probably best. There's so much like to do a really kind of quick overview of what we looked at here. So Renegades thrust you and your crew into the heart of a lawless frontier that's emerged around Mars, Europa, and Venus, all new locations across those places. And you're trying to keep up with Drifter, ultimately, who's chasing startling visions of calamity and rumors of a powerful
the artwork looks really nice. It kind of feels like a Star Wars movie poster looking at this.
And Drifter's convinced that the
nice.
N9 is involved with the Imperium's rapid growth. It wouldn't be the first
so
time
glad that they've made that as a poster, because it does look really nice.
Cabal-related enemies. Anyway, so to deal with the Imperium, you're going to take on the role of a renegade. As a guardian, you're going to smuggle, sabotage, bounty hunt your way to the top of the lawless frontier, and that means you're going to be working with the shady syndicates to build your influence within Tharsis. But ultimately, like, this is for the right reason. You're being the bad guy to do the right thing, because you can't really ignore this prophecy of extinction that showed up at the Edge of Fate. Yeah.
So, I mean, you mentioned Drifter. We have a pretty stellar cast here, and there was a new character that we showed off in there.
Yeah, we showed one of our new characters. That's a new member of your crew who comes from the Praxis Order, actually. And they've been tasked with tracking down reports of dredging activity across the lawless frontier. And they've also been tasked with keeping an eye on Drifter, because he's been seeing and saying some crazy stuff lately. And this is all being done in defiance of the Vanguard, so this Praxis Order is kind of here to kind of be oversight of everything that's happening. We've got a bunch of new villains, too, alongside the criminal syndicates and their bosses, and we just don't want to spoil too much right now. We're going to have more on the story closer to launch.
All right, so we've got smuggling, sabotaging, bounty hunting, wearing clothes, doing crime.
I mean, to be fair, it has got me. There is a part of me that really wants to play this, because it does look really, really nice.
So one thing to like make sure is clear here, like in the campaign that has a bunch of story missions, it's going to introduce you to also the jobs that you'll be taking in addition to those story missions within the Lawless Frontier. So you'll be kind of climbing the ranks of the criminal underworld here, because the syndicates are not going to trust you out the gate. You kind of have to garner influence with them before they're going to help you out in dealing with the Imperium. And so then at the conclusion of the campaign, once that Imperium's chokehold is kind of loosened on Tharsis and the Lawless Frontier, you unintentionally kick off a turf war between the 3 syndicates, because now they're all vying for power, because you've kind of toppled the top dog of their power hierarchy.
Yeah. And so let's talk about this. In December,
yeah, that's interesting. You could target the
concept
syndicate as well.
Yeah, and I know we're showing something on screen right now that like is like when you go through this like daily ritual of dealing with contested territory, you'll be able to like target the syndicate you want to kind of like take down in that moment. But ultimately, the Lawless Frontier is a new activity where you'll be carrying out a variety of those missions, those smuggle, bounty hunt, sabotaging. I think you kind of can tell what they're going to be all about just with the name of them. And this is you just partnering with and against the syndicates. And so it's fast, it's tactical, and it's going to throw a ton of enemies and a variety of objectives within each of these jobs at your fire team in new locations across Mars, Europa, and Venus. This is all about big, chaotic co-op action within the Lawless Frontier. Yeah.
Cool. And then when you're working with the syndicates, like, I expect to be paid when I take on a job. Like, what are they going to be giving us?
Every criminal does.
Yeah,
right. You know what I mean? So, well, like one thing just to like talk about at the top, because Tom and I are really excited about this, the creative lead on Renegades. The Cabal have been dropping pods on your head for like 8 years now, something like that. And so with one of our Renegade abilities, we kind of get to turn the table on the Cabal and drop one on them. It also supplies you some ammo and stuff too, some nice convenience there. But the campaign ultimately like introduce you to a number of these abilities. In the Turf War, you'll actually choose which syndicates you want to pledge to in order to unlock more abilities and a bigger suite of upgrades. Also, depending on which syndicate you're pledged to, there will be other bonuses and weekly shipments.
I love how the stream cut off there. That was random.
And so one thing I want to note too is
to be fair, that should have been like the end. Should have been like
they're purely
how the stream should have ended. To be honest,
the Renegade abilities do not override any of your other
You've spoken enough.
Abilities. So like your super, your melee, your grenade, that's all at your disposal on top of these Renegade abilities. We really wanted to lean into the idea of this fantasy of you working with your crew and the various roles you could play within the Lost Frontiers of all these different type of jobs that you're going to be doing.
Awesome. And then I have to give a shout out to James Sy. He's frankly one of the biggest Star Wars nerds I've ever met in my life. But he was talking about the blaster and that feel the first time he shot it. Like, let's talk about him.
Yeah, I love that blaster, and because like my personal joke is it's like Forerunner at home. It's kind of like a legendary version of that exotic, and it just feels fucking incredible. Oh, sorry, it feels incredible. Excuse me, for kids at home.
And he swore
so we're gonna have a weapons
deep
dive close to launch. I know it keeps saying that. There's a ton of the Vidoc. There's even more to be talking about in the next few months. But what we can say about blasters right now is they're new, powerful weapons in your arsenal, and they actually draw ammo.
I might give it a shot and see what it does.
And so the mechanic of this is basically heating up the gun and then venting it out. So no reloading technically, but since you have to like charge up heat and you have to think about overheating, it's a whole mechanic and has its own special reload associated with it. And so it's going to be all about finding like the rhythm of pace and battle between building up heat and venting it. It's really fun to play around with, and the team is really honing in on something like that feels really special and new. It's cool.
All right.
It's cool, yeah.
So we're not going to go too deep on campaign because spoilers. We want to let players discover that.
Yeah.
We've talked about the Lawless Frontier, but one of the components is invasions.
Oh yeah. So you're going to unlock invasion as part of that turf war we've been talking about, and the syndicates are like reaching out to you, and they're giving you contracts to play Hitman against other Guardian crews. So it's 1 versus 3. It's you versus a Guardian crew on the Lawless Frontier. And like we said in the Vidoc, invasion is 100% opt-in for both the invaders and the defending fire team crew. But don't worry, because all of the difficulty modes, there's always an option that is available to you if you don't want to engage in invasion. Yeah, we wanted to make sure that, because like even though some people love that PvE chocolate mixing with that PvP peanut butter, we wanted to make sure that if you didn't want to do that, there's always an option for you to do something else within the Lost Frontier.
And then if you do opt in though, there's more rewards or incentive, right?
I mean, yeah, you're like asking, you're basically saying, hey, fire team, I'm open to having another Guardian come and wreck shop and mess my day up, right? And so you're taking a higher risk, so therefore there's a chance of higher reward depending on how you handle that, right?
Cool. Yeah, I mean, so that covers gameplay effectively. We do have a dungeon. We showed a little tease, but again, no spoilers. We'll let you discover that on day one. Let's talk about the last thing that players may have seen, or the first thing, honestly. We saw chat blown up. Let's talk about the saber.
Right. So, yeah, this is Destiny's homage, right? It's our love letter to the Star Wars lightsaber. And we're calling it the Praxic Blade.
Praxic
again,
Blade.
We'll be sharing a
I'm
whole
not
lot
sure
more
whether
whether
I like that name, the Praxic Blade. I feel like that's a weird name for a lightsaber.
The Praxic Blade is going to be highly customizable in both gameplay and visuals. And so there's going to be
either way, I'm glad that we're getting lightsabers in Destiny. I just wish they just called it lightsabers.
Within the dungeon.
If they're working with Lucasfilm, they should be able to do that. I mean,
your own. And you saw it in the Vidoc, but the blade really does feel truly exotic right now. You can do things with it that no other weapon can do in Destiny, and I really can't wait till players get their hands on it here in a few months.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for Renegades. We have 2 more big subjects to go through today, so thanks for running us through that.
Of course.
Our next section is going to be all about quality of life.
Oh yeah, here we go. Quality of life updates
since Edge of Fate launched, and then
let's
after that
see
we'll be
if
talking
they
about
can
with another cast of devs to talk about a bunch of cool stuff. So ultimately, we have
see what they
quite a
say
lot
about
over the
this,
next few
shall we?
months. We're going to be talking about a bunch of high-level goals, objectives, some of our philosophy. We do not have a roadmap today, but we will have a roadmap in the next few weeks outlining our road to Renegades, which I've been calling it selfishly. So we'll figure out a fancier name for it at some point, but let's dive in. I think the first thing that I want to talk about here, let me get this up. I mean, ultimately, this feels like we're having a mini community summit on stream.
Yeah.
But let's talk about rewards. Let's talk about the portal. Let's talk about power. Let's talk about the climb and the feedback that we've been seeing.
Yeah, so to do a little bit more table setting and framing.
All right, here we go. So we have new activity, the Renegade campaign, lawless jobs, few variety, reward, balance, and buffs for portals, even though we just heard in the update now that they haven't really been buffed. They've been degrested.
Some of it, a little bit
so
of it
just want to put that out there.
A lot more in Renegades.
Reward buffs to fire team activities, year prophecy raid, dungeon reward improvements.
We want it to be faster.
We'll see if that even happens. And bonus Ingram rework. We'll see if that happens because so far nobody's happy with the Ashen Iron update so far. So we'll see if they actually live up to these commitments and actually do them properly.
Sources of seasonal power. We know with the Edge of Fate, after you completed the campaign on Kepler, that there's a bunch of cool stuff to do and some rewards to get, but it didn't fit into the seasonal power game, right? It didn't feel like it was a viable path. And so these big chaotic fire team based jobs that we've built and all that variety we're pouring into it is going to be this engine to climb seasonal power. If you're just loving that activity, you're going to be able to spend an enormous amount of time there.
Yeah, and you touched on aspirational content. So when we look at it, you're doing the power climb, but you're looking at the end game, and our raids and dungeons are a part of that.
Yes, they are. So we are making sure here, there's two approaches we're taking and a bunch of work that's going to come out of it. So our focus initially here is going to be on the new raid and dungeon content in this conversation. So that is Desert Perpetual, the Epic Raid here in a couple weeks, and then the dungeon releasing with Ashen Iron. And so we want to make sure that those are more dependable sources of power, both from weekly challenges, some of which that are going to happen in Ashen Iron, but then also we're going to be looking at the power drops that come when you're completing encounters and looking to see if we can adjust those and juice them up a little bit. The other big area, because what we're talking about when we say aspiration is like in-game. You're doing an in-game thing. I should be rewarded for that. So with the launch of the Epic Raid for the Desert Perpetual and Epic Raid and then the dungeon afterwards, we're going to make all drops, the base drops you earn in that content, tier 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ultimately tier 3. Players got through some of the power grind, they went into the raid and they were seeing tier 1, tier 2 drops, and that didn't feel like endgame loot. So
it did not.
We're making this tier 3 is the baseline.
Yeah, but the problem is, you say that, but then it's not until we get it in our hands is when we know you've changed it.
Some of the newer content.
Because Ashen Iron, nobody's happy about what you've done with some of the changes you've made. I mean, it's still painful to power grind for a lot of people.
Right.
Because there's a lot of people saying that now about Destiny.
Variety, portal and more reasons or more ways to play.
So
exactly.
They can say as much as they want, but until players feel like they're progressing, they're not going to believe you. A lot of what
we're doing is going to be about bringing the baseline of the
just
reward experience
putting it out there, because I think it's
up to that, closer to that solo ops experience, and also really incentivize playing in fire teams more, because hey, we know Destiny's feeling lonely right now if all you do is spend time in the mines, right? And so we want to do we know we need to do a much better job at that. The other,
just to go into that example, like we're talking about Caldera, it's a solo op activity, and players feel it is the most viable path to power. So a social game like Destiny, it is a problem where you feel like you should be playing alone for all the reasons. It's like, hey, sorry friends, you want to play raid, you want to play something else? Sorry, I'm going to go into Caldera and play alone.
Yeah, because you design that system.
Sure is social, fun.
You can't just blame the players. You design that system.
You can absolutely hop in, but we aren't going to make you feel worse. So, example there too, we said, hey, we're going to tone down Caldera and solo ops. We're actually reverting that. We had announced it. We're taking that back. And as you said, that's the new benchmark. We're going to raise things up to feel like Caldera and feel
but it doesn't feel like it's raised because people are complaining on.
One of the other things we're looking at doing in Ashen Iron right now is taking our bonus engrams and having them just more consistently award power deeper into the climb and adjusting that. We're also, this is a good segue, I think, kind of into our next area where we can talk more about reworks we're going to be doing within the game and some changes we're making. So the other thing we're going to be doing with bonus engrams when Renegades launches is they're going to feed more into a weekly ritual. You know, a thing that you know when it launches, there's a bunch of stuff to do that's going to accelerate you in the power climb.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about the effectively weekly reset, curated activities from Bungie. So you have a moment each week. let's hop into raid night. Let's do.
So apparently,
Grandmasters,
this is the
like
stuff.
that.
Some of the stuff they've launched today, even though
we talk about a lot is
well, yesterday, even though it's still
Clan Night,
broken,
Raid Night, right? We got to get that feeling of
players
hey,
have called it all out. To be honest,
to look forward to.
So we're going to see the diagram very shortly of what they claim they've brought out, but actually everybody else is saying the opposite.
So Vanguard orders are actually this like new objective system where you're going to be, and we should have a mock-up on screen right now. It looks like our monitor isn't showing the exact right thing, just our place in the studio, so I'm just going to assume it's working. And so within these Vanguard orders,
Vanguard orders, weekly bonus engrams, weekly conquests, legacy raids and dungeons. Apparently, they're adding that to the portal at some point,
automatically granted
and
to
more.
You when you log into the portal.
I mean, the system looks good.
They pull some of that like Destiny 1.
I'll give them credit. The system does look alright for what they're doing.
You will actually roll. You can roll on higher tier orders, like a legendary order that will give you consistent rewards, or an exotic tier.
I just hope it's consistent. That's what I'm hoping.
Rewards.
I mean,
so this is all about just creating a bunch more like little moments of variety within the portal and these different little objectives that you can do. We already touched on